Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to everyone out there. I thought I would just upload the entire footage from the Advent Calendar's Shorts series in a big long video. If you didn't know, sometimes people who watch shorts on YouTube are not the same people who watch the long form videos. I thought the Advent Calendar deserved its own compilation, so I hope you enjoy it, and apologies to everybody who already watched this in the Shorts series. Well, it's that time of year where everybody starts complaining about these scam advent calendars that they sell on Amazon. Oh, what a scam, sadly. So I decided to do my own advent calendar filled with my favorite miniatures, both old and new. And for day one, what do we have? It's the Reaper Sasquatch. A lovely metal sculpt from Reaper Miniatures, sculpted by Jason Wiebe. Amazing stuff.
Oh, wow! A Sasquatch, or a Bigfoot, the nice friendly version of the Yeti. An excellent addition to any tabletop role-playing game.
I got sick of seeing all those fake D&D advent calories, so I decided to make a pizza.
I mean an advent calendar. I made my own advent calendar. Yes, this is a miniature from Archon Studio from the Duselair Core set. It's called an Azoth Nymph, Azoth, something like that. A nicely detailed miniature with a pretty good amount of options on the plastic sprue. Or if you want to get exact, hips, high impact polystyrene material. Very durable and easy to prime.
Wow, this would make it like a really cool, juvenile cloaker in a D&D game. Or if you just want to do custom Zerg stuff, this really does look like kind of Zergy alien as well. What a great miniature.
I was so upset about all the fake D&D miniature advent calendars that I decided to make my own real one. Come on, little girl, we all know that you're lying. And for day 3, I got some lovely Reaper Bones Black, Kobold animatronics, sculpted by Bobby Jackson, and he did an amazing job on these.
Alright, kobolds. But I guess they're robots, so I don't know. I guess these are a little bit specialized, but I guess, I can think of a couple of uses for these. Robot kobolds, animatronics, let me know in the comments.
It's the most wonderful time of year where I take out my advent calendar and show you some of my favorite miniatures. And of course, it's the Bucket Mimic. This is one of the first miniatures that I sculpted. It's based off the Hearst Arts Bucket, and it's a lovely piece of art.
Wow, it's the Bucket Mimic. Yeah, see, they're always gonna suspect the chest of being a mimic, but with the Bucket Mimic, no, they're never gonna see that coming. All of a sudden, it's a Bucket Mimic. It's really surprising, and yeah, this was one of his first sculpts, and I think he did pretty good.
Hey everybody, it's another Advent Calendar video where I take a look at my favorite miniatures, and this time it's the Rust Monster. Number 33 from Dangerous Delves, one of the later Hasbro sets.
Oh hey, it's a Rust Monster. Back in 1977, this monster had its first appearance. It was based on a plastic toy. It wasn't a monster that was designed to attack characters, but rather a monster that was meant to attack the characters' hard-earned equipment made out of metal. I've heard tales of traps being made with a Rust Monster and a Disenchanter Beast, which would totally destroy any player characters that were relying too much on equipment rather than strategy.
Well, I hope you're all having a very 1999 Christmas as I open up more miniatures from my advent calendar that I made of my favorite miniatures, and today, of course, the Wildspire Forest Guardian. Wildspire Miniatures, great miniature company that produces some cheap miniatures, durable miniatures, and some wonky, interesting sculpts that you won't find mass-produced anywhere else.
Hey, it's a little forest guardian guy. You could probably use him as a proxy for any number of D&D monsters that have to do with forest spirits or sort of little treant guys. Yeah, he's very, very cool little miniature. I really like the fact that he's got an axe stuck into him. So, that's just storytelling.
And for day 7 of my D&D Advent Calendar, it's the Cockatrice miniature from the Elf Sarah series, from EM4 Miniatures, one of the very few pre-painted metal miniature lines to ever exist.
Well, the cockatrice miniature is definitely the bane of early adventurers, but as a small creature, it can crop up in the most unexpected places and cause serious issues for even the most experienced D&D party. All the cockatrices need to do is get a couple of lucky hits in, and that's all she wrote. With their beaks, they turn their victims into statues, and then proceed to eat the stony flesh for sustenance. Luckily, in most game rules, this petrification only lasts a short amount of time, so if someone can survive an attack, then all you gotta do is protect the statues until your friends turn back into flesh and blood. Neat.
For day 8, we have a bit of an obscure miniature from the Fantasy Resin Custom Miniatures Collection Kickstarter from Greenbrier Games. This was on clearance at Miniature Market for $1. It is a resin miniature that is part of the Yashima Legend of the Kami Masters board game, but it's the resin version that was part of a separate Kickstarter where Greenbrier Games actually produced a lot of high quality resin miniatures that were multi-part. Greenbrier as a company, I believe, is shuttered at this point, so I'm not sure what's going on with them, but I think that this was a one-time chance to buy these miniatures. And this is certainly an interesting sort of Yomi demoned miniature with a cloud of weird smoke and stuff. It's very cool, and for $1 for a detailed resin miniature like this, it was an amazing deal from Miniature Market. Hello everybody, for day 9 of the Advent Calendar, we actually have a little bit of a mystery here. I thought I knew a lot about Hasbro D&D miniatures, but I have absolutely no clue what this guy is supposed to represent here. It's clearly supposed to be some sort of drow, but I checked the bottom and there's no name or designation. I don't know if this is supposed to be like a specialized drow ranger. He's got the 2 scimitars, and he's got leather type armor. So I'm assuming that it is supposed to be a drow ranger, but other than that, I mean, it's pretty bland miniature, pretty even almost unappealing. So I have no idea who this is. Hey, maybe you know, if you know obscure stuff like this, let me know in the comments below. Hey everybody, all the toxic comments that I've been getting just because I wasn't able to identify one miniature, so I'm sorry, I can't do this anymore. Someone else is gonna have to take over this project.
This miniature was originally manufactured under Hobby Products, a German company, Metal Magic line, but that was sold to Mega Miniatures, and that's where this specific miniature was gotten from. Included all the dwarves from the C1051 Dwarves set. This is a great old school pewter miniature with a lot of detail. Very cool miniature.
Hey everybody, it's me, Mr. Smooth Voice. And certainly, I didn't screw up the order of the Advent Calendar videos. This is definitely day 11, and there were no mistakes. Today, we're taking a look at Pan, the Alpaca Bard, from Steam-Forged Games' Animal Adventures, Animals of the Faraway Sea. Boy, oh boy. There was some good Black Friday deals on some of these animals, so I hope you guys took advantage of that. But yeah, fun miniatures. Could be used for awakened animals or just some animal companions with some attitude out the wazoo. I really like the alpaca character. It's very cool, very detailed, and it's just a very fun miniature. Good times. Ah yes, one of my favorite releases of miniatures, the Hasbro sculpts from the D&D board games. I believe this one comes from Legend of something or other. I gotta look that up later. This is a Yaklo demon. The handmaidens of the Spider Queen Loth, the god of the Drow. I painted up a bunch of these guys, and boy, I just really like the muted tone with the eye-popping eye out of this demon miniature. It can change its form into a drow or a giant spider, but beware, because it is no less dangerous no matter what form it's in.
Oh wow, look at that! It's Scowl from Zombicide Black Plague, otherwise known as the Axeman. Special little miniatures like this make really good NPCs or even PCs if you have somebody who wants to play a medieval Batman, which is that's probably more people than you would think.
Where are the zombies, Owlbear?
What?
I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Axeman.
You better watch out. You better.
Oh, now we're talking. This little kobold with mace is from Heritage Miniatures, specifically the Roaming Monsters Level 1 set. It was painted according to the instructions that came in the box, which is, a little bit strange because it said to paint the shirt kind of like an orange-red color. The skin was supposed to be a dark red color, so it still looks okay. The box description: these 3 small, fierce, dog-like creatures wear leather armor and carry wicker shields. They wave spiked clubs or war axes above their heads. These miniatures only came with the painting instructions and were kind of based on these cobblestone bases. That's like the big roll of cobblestone plastic that you can get at craft stores. A small miniature like this belongs on a 20mm base, but when you buy stuff secondhand, that's what happens. And it's nice enough just to see the original miniature. Oh! God damn it. What? I'm done with the advent calendar thing, okay? I have little puppet hands. It's tough. Okay? You have to do the rest of it. Okay.
Well, looks like I'm doing the advent calendar again, and today we pull out a classic miniature. Well, for me anyways. It's one of the Hasbro Dreamscape miniatures. A Mantlet, a miniature that has seen extensive use in many of my campaigns. Mostly it shows up as a mechanical hazard, but you can also use this as just random equipment stuff or machinery. A very useful miniature and an excellent example of a very useful pre-painted line.
Well, look at that. It's already the 16th, and we're getting quite close to Christmas Day. And on day number 16, we have a lovely Stonehaven miniature, the Dwarf Mechanic. The Dwarf Mechanic, yes. The Stonehaven miniatures are designed in the USA and made in the USA too. Lovely pewter miniatures. A bit expensive, but hey, really high quality, so be on the lookout for them if you are interested in printable miniatures, or maybe the next time they have a crowdfunding thing. They're designed in Rochester, New York, and I went to school in Geneseo, New York, which is like right south of Rochester, so there's a little factoid for you. Also, fun fact, this is the miniature that I used for my second tabletop RPG campaign, which was a Pathfinder game. And on the 17th day of the Advent calendar, a real blast from the recent past, the Merchant miniature from the Dungeon Crawler line. Now, there are pre-painted versions of these miniatures, but this is an unpainted version that I did myself. I must say, I love this miniature. It's very nice. It's pretty much what I would consider to be the perfect miniature for an NPC. Very active pose for a merchant. I love these miniatures. I'm not sure if the company is still technically making them or not. I know that
Dungeon Crawler is still involved in making card game stuff, but I don't know if there's much support behind their miniatures. In any case, another fine line of independent miniatures and one of the rare examples of pre-painted miniatures out in the wild still. It's day 18, and today on the calendar, we have a lovely sculpted miniature that I sculpted myself. Yes, it's a little mushroom guy. I sculpted him during a craft off with Raven's Minis. This is a standard green stuff sculpt. For those of you who aren't familiar, I've been cursed, and everything I sculpt turns out to be very cute, and this guy is no exception. I love the fact that he kind of looks like a little Muppet guy. And yeah, this is one of the first little gradients I did of the dark orange to the light yellow brim of his little mushroom head. So his pose is actually interesting. He looks like he's talking to somebody taller than him, but that was actually a happy accident. In the diorama scene that he's in, he's actually reaching for a bottle that was stolen by a living plant. This really does motivate me to continue to experiment with sculpting and see what I can make next. And on day number 19 of the Advent calendar, we have a bit of an obscure miniature from Rebel Minis. Redel the Wizard from the Darkhold fantasy series. Yes, Rebel Minis, which is well known for its 15mm miniatures, but it's also done some in 20mm as well. Apparently on the website they're having issues with finding metal, so there's delays in shipping, but apparently they're still selling this set. This is from the Adventurers box set 1. I got it loose, but I know it's that set because I got all 4 of the miniatures, and I love this guy. This is what I like to call a workhorse miniature. Whether it's a NPC wizard or cleric or an evil magician or even the end boss. Just a well-detailed, useful miniature. Oh, you know what time it is. It's time to open up the Advent calendar again, and this time we have a miniature from Wildspire Miniatures from the Heroic Townsfolk Miniatures set, the Spy in Bush. And this obviously is sculpted by the very talented MZ4250. That's a guy who I actually met at the only convention that I've ever gone to in my entire life. I met the sculptor. He sculpted a lot of really cool miniatures, including the Goose Hydra, which has to be one of my favorite miniatures I own. So yeah, a really fun miniature, a guy in a bush. Limitless uses of this. This could be a hidden assassin or a hidden thief, and then this is the model that you use when the tabletop players manage to suss him out. Another fun miniature and one of my favorites. It's lucky day number 21 on the Advent calendar, and today we're going to pull out a lovely Chainmail Null, or Null, I've heard it pronounced both ways. In 2000, Wizards of the Coast launched a skirmish table miniature game with the same name of the original Gygax game of Chainmail. There was a lot of amazing miniatures of classic D&D monsters. These are some of the first metal miniatures that I ever collected, and back then they were pretty affordable. They're pretty pricey nowadays, but by far it's one of my favorite metal miniature lines. In this miniature is part of the Naresh faction, which was mostly gnolls. So you can buy some very cool looking archers and adepts and even more specialized gnolls, but this is the standard gnoll trooper. A very tall and intimidating gnoll in the style of the 3rd edition gnolls. One of the first miniatures that I ever painted and one of my go-tos for my table. Another day, another miniature from the Advent calendar that I made from my favorite miniatures. Alchemy the Game, a French tabletop war game that came to the United States around 2008, I believe. And by the time I started collecting miniatures around 2013, 2014, I was able to get a ton of these miniatures dirt cheap because this game was being discontinued. Now, there is a 2nd edition. These miniatures are a little bit more expensive nowadays, but if you can find them cheap, they're durable, they're nice, they're their weird version of Restec. like resin plastic kit miniatures that are multi-part, but they're very well detailed. They handle primer well, and I just love this guy because he looks like this is the exact jerk guard miniature, which comes up so much in D&D. It's such a good miniature to have in your arsenal.
Well, you know it's number 23 on the advent calendar, which only means one thing.
It's time for a classic Hasbro miniature, specifically the Farmer miniature from the Hasbro Dungeons & Dragons Desert of Desolation set, a pre-painted set that released in October in 2007. A common miniature, a medium miniature, number 11 in the set. Hasbro miniatures, as far as I'm concerned, get a bad rap, but you know what? They're pre-painted, they're heat annealed, so that paint is never coming off them. I've literally carried these things around for years in the worst conditions, never any paint chips, but it's very flexible, unbreakable. These sculpts are actually pretty nice, the vast majority of them. You can easily tell what it is, there's neat little details, and hey, if you feel weird about the kind of simple paint job, you can always touch them up. This is it, everybody, the last day of the Advent calendar. And you know what? If I'm going to be honest, I don't think it was ever in question what my favorite miniature was. It's Root the Owlbear, one of my first sculpts and remains one of my favorite sculpts. The miniature mascot of this channel, Root the Owlbear. But you know what? I don't want Root getting lonely this Christmas. So I sculpted him a new owlbear friend, Gustav the Owlbear. Obviously, Gustav is much more laid back than his cousin. Yes, yet another interesting addition to my miniature collection. I just want to thank everybody who stopped by and watched this series. This was just sort of a last-minute idea that I did because I found the Advent calendar at the Goodwill by the pound. Best wishes to everyone watching this.
Out in the snow, there'll be scary ghost stories and tales of the glories of Christmas. You better watch out, you better not cry, you better not pout, I'm telling you why. Santa Claus is coming to town. He's making a list and checking it twice. He's gonna find out who's naughty and nice. Santa Claus is coming to town.